Hi there, I'm Sandra. I thought I'd like to tell you about a special giving opportunity that's offered every year at this time through the Presbyterian Church USA in general and First Presbyterian Church of Freehold in particular. It's called One Great Hour of Sharing. I attend First Presbyterian Church here in Freehold and have been involved with mission for about 20 years or so. For us, mission means supporting local ministries to support the needs of poor people in the area and also the dreams of those who are called to love their neighbors in a worldwide situation. One Great Hour of Sharing is embraced by the Presbyterian Church in the USA, so all Presbyterian churches participate. Other denominations do also. So every year this money is used to support mission endeavors financially on 3 different fronts. This way, when there is an unexpected disaster, which is what disasters are, the money is available in advance. So Presbyterian Mission can, in a way, plan what they're going to do because they have the money already in hand. So Presbyterian Mission is broken down into three areas, and the funds are divided between these 3. The first one that you probably are interested in most is Presbyterian Disaster Assistance. The second one is Presbyterian Hunger Program, and the third is Self-Development of People. Let me tell you a little about them all. Disasters. We know them when we see them. There's a hurricane, a flood, flash fires, tornadoes, storms, heat waves, and regrettably, lastly, the COVID pandemic. We never thought we'd be using that word in the 21st century. So social media keeps us well informed about all these disasters of Mother Nature. The major disaster, though, that we're living through right now, I don't have to tell you, is the war in Ukraine. The difference with the disaster in Ukraine is that it's a man-made disaster. We've all seen the heartbreaking images of women and children piling onto trains trying to escape to safe countries, Poland, Moldova, etc. We've seen images of newborn babies in basements. Half of the babies being born are premature because of the stress of the war, the sound of the bombings. They're going to be very lucky if these babies survive. We've seen pictures of the elderly who have trouble getting around, who don't want to leave their family home. They're trying to weigh the risk of staying and possibly being bombed, or leaving and going someplace new where they don't know anybody. Their lives are shattered. We see pictures of men trying to defend their country, men who have been roped in to be soldiers, who have no idea what they're doing, but have a passion for their families and for their homelands. So we all know about this man-made disaster in Ukraine. And perhaps you're saying to yourself, well, aren't all Ukrainians Orthodox Christians? Are there really any Presbyterians in Ukraine? Well, the answer is that Presbyterian Disaster Assistance works through sister churches in all other countries. They partner with them. They send funds, they send people, they work together so that the work of restoration and healing takes place. So in 2020, which is the last year that we have figures for, Presbyterian Disaster Assistance gave $6.5 million in 500 grants to causes in this country and in 56 other countries. Having said that, more than half of that figure was given to support COVID endeavors. You name them, whether it's materials, PPE, or training, whatever, that went towards COVID, which, of course, is a disaster. The second area that monies funnel into is the Presbyterian Hunger Program. It works in, obviously, desperately poor countries. They don't just give bags of food. Nobody rolls up with a beautiful lasagna and Italian bread. They send experts in the field. They send agronomists, for example, into Haiti to teach people, which is the key element here, to teach people what are the best crops to grow in the smallest space with the smallest amount of water, so that people can grow their own gardens to feed their own families, to feed their own livestock if they have them, and have enough left over to sell so that they can actually make a living. The Hunger Program supplies non-GMO rice seed to Nigeria, and it's labeled on the bag that this is from Hunger Program. They provide animals so that people can make a living, whether it's chickens that will lay eggs or goats that will give milk, whatever. They give saplings, little trees to be planted to secure poor soil so that people are not wiped out by climate change. These all help communities build vegetable gardens here and overseas. This program also supplied, back in 2020, masks and PPE for COVID aid. They supplied sewing machines to families led by single women in Somalia and Yemen. They supplied water pumps, irrigation systems, and I love this one, toilets and washrooms in urban areas in India, so people could have safety going to the bathroom, hygiene, and dignity in rural areas. This is a big issue, and Presbyterian Church is addressing it. And lastly, the Presbyterian Hunger Program also supports people in areas where famine is rampant, like Afghanistan, Yemen, and Ethiopia. We've seen the pictures of children dying, children that have the little armbands measuring the extent of their arms. If it's in the red zone, they are starving to death and at risk of dying. And if there's no water and no food, it means the animals don't have water. So there goes a food source. And the plants don't have water. So there goes a food source for people. So it's really a huge mission for the Hunger Program to protect these people from dying. It's a matter, literally, of life and death. In 2020, the Hunger Program gave $1 million in grants in the US and in 20 countries, as well as grants for COVID support. The third mission area benefiting from this collection is the self-development of people. Notice the self in that. It's not that the Presbyterian Church sits around in a conference room hundreds of miles away and decides what it is that people need. People themselves say what it is that they need to survive and to thrive, to endure the poverty and injustice, racism, and oppression. This program works with immigrants and refugees to come up with Community centers, so people have a place to meet, a place to speak their own language, a place to learn, whether it's in this country or Latin America especially. And people learn what it is to become an American. They have language training. They learn about American customs, ways of living, and preparation for citizenship. How are they going to learn that if nobody teaches it to them? There are youth resources that are implemented to keep kids off the streets, out of gangs, away from drugs. They address people with disabilities, a place for them to go and receive encouragement as well as therapy. And also for people who have special skills development needs. There are classes and all kinds of activities to foster relationships in meaningful settings, meaningful communities. We don't have a 2020 figure for that. We have a 2021 figure for half the year. 185,000 was allocated to projects in poor communities. In poor cities, often suffering from violence and lack of clinics, lack of nearby food resources, and providing a chance to thrive. Communities like Detroit, Baltimore, and Seattle, and smaller communities in Ohio, Indiana, North Dakota, and also in Belize and Panama in Central America. So that's where the money goes. And I have scads of information if people want more. Scads of it. They're very open with where the money goes. So Presbyterian Mission has a tagline. Their tagline is give, act, pray. So I think we're all praying. You see something on TV, you read about something, people dying, people enduring incredible hardships. We see Ukraine every moment of the day, and we pray. We pray for those people. We've got praying down pat. Do we act? Act is more difficult. I think many of us feel guilty about the war in Ukraine. Here we are sitting home in our nice living rooms with warm water and heat and money in the bank. We feel guilty. We want to go and do something. But you know what? If you hop on a plane to Poland, do you know the language? Do you know the transportation systems in Ukraine? Do you know what people really need? And are you really going to be a source of help? Or is somebody going to have to help you? So acting is difficult. For local projects, yes, our church went down to Keensburg to help a member after Sandy when her house was totally messed up. So when it's local and it's doable, we're right there. Many people from this church helped Yvonne. So acting, not so much. But you know what we can do? We can give. See, give was the first part of the tagline. We can give. So we can help. We can't get a ticket over and start sweeping up the rubble in Ukraine and putting bandages on people. But we can give so that the money is available for the church to use as the needs arise. We can give generously. We can give lavishly if we're able. If you can't give lavishly, give what you can. The church will make sure the money is used for food and water, for supplies, for transportation, for temporary housing, whether it's tents or a hostel somewhere or a hall. We'll make sure the church uses the money for language and training so that people can go to a new job and can get a job because they can speak the language. The money will make sure that our neighbors locally and globally can survive. Another tagline they use, if we all give a little, it adds up to a lot. So if you're in a position to give more, let me change that tagline. If we all give a little more, it adds up to a lot more. I'm not authorized to say that, by the way. In 2019, our church donated $790 to One Great Hour of Sharing. It wasn't as much as I hoped for, but it was more than I expected. In 2020, we gave nothing, $0. We were in COVID. We were deer in the headlights. We didn't do a thing. Last year, 2021, we gave over $1,000. I was thrilled. So it's now 2022. This year, what we give depends on you and me, all of us together, each one of you. This video is primarily not for the people sitting in the pews. They know what's going on. They get the envelopes when they arrive for worship, or a flyer, or they hear a little announcement, or it's in the bulletin. But if you're watching from home, this is for you. You can give. You can be part of this program. If you can't attend because of limitations, you can still write a check payable to First Presbyterian Church. On the memo line, show One Great Hour of Sharing. Put the check in any old envelope, doesn't have to be a fancy one like we've got here in church, and send it to First Presbyterian Church, 118 West Main Street, Freehold, New Jersey, 07728. Please don't delay. If you're like me and you put it off, you are going to forget. Do it now while you remember. You can get it in the mail now. The donation in person is accepted, is received. We have special language in the Presbyterian Church. This collection is received on Palm Sunday, April the 10th. If you're going to be in church, that's when you will make your donation. If you're at home, you can mail it anytime from now on before Palm Sunday. So, remember, people here in this country and across the globe are relying on you. They're relying on the church to meet their needs. So if you've listened to the end of this, thank you. If you pray for all these special causes, thank you very much. If you give whatever you can to help our neighbors in need, my heart goes out to you. Thank you.